Okay, good morning everyone. Welcome to Breckland Council's special cabinet meeting on Monday the 3rd of March 2025. It's 11 a.m, so we'll crack straight on with today's formal business, won't we, Alison? So item 1 then, apologies for absence, Ben.
Thank you, Chairman. We have received apologies from Councillor Philip Cowan and Councillor Helen Crane and Councillor Tristan Ashby.
Lovely, thank you much indeed. Item 2, any urgent business? I've not been made aware of any. Item 3, declarations of interest. If anybody has any declarations not already declared and pertinent to today's business, please let us know for the next item. Item 4 then, Breckland Council's local plan full updated local development scheme as presented in the pages 3 to 15 of colleagues' agenda pack. So everyone will be aware that the local development scheme sets out the timetable by which the council will develop its local plan. This timetable replaces that originally agreed back in November 2023, some time ago. In July 2024, the government published a consultation paper on the revisions to the National Planning Policy Framework, the NPPF, which includes proposals to increase the amount of housing councils will be required to deliver as part of its local plan. Because of the uncertainty this created, we made the decision with others across the country to pause the local plan and await for the outcomes of that consultation. The revised framework was published on the 12th of December 2024, last year, and introduced a new housing methodology, which means this council will have a vast increase in its housing delivery, jumping from our previous number to now 903 units per year. That's an increase of nearly 50% of our previous housing requirement. It also includes the requirement for councils to publish its revised timetable by the 6th of March of this month. And it also extends the transition period by which plans could be developed under the existing plan, making the process by 18 months, which will be a requirement to the end of December 2026. This timetable is designed to meet that deadline in its entirety and is contained within colleagues' agenda pack. It's important for this council to have a local plan to give our communities confidence that we can deliver the growth that it's required and mandated by government, but also ensure that we're able to shape what that plan looks like and deliver growth where it's needed, but more importantly, where it could be delivered with our communities. This government's mandated housing requirements will create massive challenges, and I can't underestimate what it's going to be over these coming weeks and months. But we'll work with everybody across our communities of Breckland to meet this challenge set by central government and deliver a sound plan in which our communities have worked with us to deliver that. And I move the recommendation contained within the agenda pack, and I'm happy to take any questions in relation to this matter, but I'll refer next to Councillor Kiddle-Morris to see if he's got anything else he wishes to add.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Nothing really to add from what you just said, but I'd like to point out to what you did say, that the backstop date for us to complete this work is December 2026. So you can see from the timetable we produced here in the local development scheme that actually 2026 is our backstop date as well. So there is no slack in the system. And I would also point out in part M on the Appendix 1, the amount of work that officers will have to do to complete this work. And some of the work in there is time consuming and very complicated. And I'm sure we can get it done, but it is very tight. Thank you, Chairman.
Brilliant, thank you. Simon or Gemma, anything else to add? No, thank you. Questions or comments from colleagues? I've got Councillor Kybird, then Councillor Banbridge, please.
Thank you, Sam. Part of this process involves updated policies from Norfolk County Council. Is that a risk to us meeting the timetable?
In civil terms, yes. Whenever we are reliant on external partners and that external requirement is condensed and consolidated across asks for all councils in the country who will be simultaneously doing reviews and refresh their local plan. But we've been really transparent about this from what our timetable and our requirements are, but also from the county council's requirements, government have mandated to them what they will be required to undertake. But as is already mentioned, there is no slack in the system. Where those challenges are posed, we will have to evidence that back to the inspector if it hasn't met our requirements, or we think that there are information which is missing from that, or in turn, if it's such a strategic importance to ensure we can evidence and deliver an adopted plan, we'll have to buy that extra capacity in to ensure we can, as Breckland Council, deliver a local plan in this time frame. But I don't know if Simon or Jim, you've got anything else to add?
Just very quickly say that we have discussed with colleagues at Norfolk County Council around the timetable, so they're perfectly aware of the challenges and the pressures that we will have on this.
Well, I have two questions. I'll ask them separately, if I may. First of all, does this mean that there will be a renewed call for sites if we have to accommodate 50% more houses in the district?
In regards to our scheme of manoeuvre, there will be certain locations across the district who have had no previous allocations put forward on the call for sites, and we'll be working with local district councils and parish councils to understand whether there should be any sites coming forward in those locations. We'll work with any landowner or agent in that locality. In relation to previously adopted sites in our last local plan, we will confirm to them that they still wish for those sites to move forward so that we can bank those as those submissions. And as we've seen the large increase, ensure that everyone who previously submitted in this local plan process still wishes for that land to come forward as well.
Thank you. And my second question, really, and I'll leave it as broad as I can for this meeting, but what about rural sites? We have, I believe, many opportunities in the rural areas for sites to be open. They will be small, undoubtedly, but I would like to see us as a council pay much more attention to rural sites than we have in the past. And I'm very happy to talk to planners or the portfolio holder about that.
Thanks, Gordon. So I guess it's two-part. One, the work we did previously through the local plan, we've emphasised the importance of rural sites and given the support of parish councils to ensure we can deliver that, where traditionally we wouldn't have done so. And that local place-based connection, core jobs and key workers, etc., allow us to move that forward. On top of that, the work which Councillor Suggett's done with her team around our housing strategy amplifies the importance of rural sites. So I think hopefully you'll see the twin track approach both from our planning policy perspective with the local plan review and the council's housing strategy will ensure that that changes the culture mentality, not just for parish councils and our communities, but also those developers and those social housing providers, but also from a DM perspective as well. And hopefully you'll see some of those rural sites coming forward in earnest over these preceding months and years as well.
Thank you, Chairman. If I can come back. With rural sites, my rural district is right on the edge of Breckland, as you know. And in the past, we've had a reluctance to look over the fence for employment opportunities. There is, just over the fence from my ward, a huge work opportunity. And I would like to think that our planners will take opportunity to look over the fence when they're assessing rural job opportunities. Thank you.
Absolutely, regardless, as much as we work on artificial lines we've created for parishes and for the district in its entirety, from a residents' perspective, there are no lines on the maps within their communities, and therefore from a planner perspective, both policy and DM will look over in neighbouring communities to ensure that we've got that appropriate employment and or support services such as education and health, etc. Thank you. Councillor Borwick, then Councillor Hewitt, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. First of all, I'd like to congratulate the officers on the timetable, and I understand that it is going to be tight, but I think that everything that is required has been thought about, and that the timetable, whilst challenging, is one that appears to be achievable. I appreciate that we are here today because of the decisions that the government made in July to change what they want the plan to produce. So having said that, I am extremely worried about the new numbers that the government has arbitrarily decided that we will have to deliver. A 50% increase on the number that we've been struggling to deliver for the last 20 years represents a step change. And also, it will have, in my opinion, a huge impact on Breckland, on the infrastructure, doctors' surgeries, schools and roads, delivering this huge number of extra houses. And I have to say, I absolutely appreciate that this is not Breckland's figure, that Breckland has not decided. This is a government target that has been imposed upon us with no consultation at all, that we are going to deliver this massive new number of houses. I think it's going to be extremely difficult explaining to some local communities that they are going to have housing development on a scale which they have not previously had. And I think quite fairly, some of them will think that it's Breckland's fault that they're having these. And I'd just like to make it clear here today that I am not supportive in principle about the target that the government has put on us, and I am not supportive at all about the way they've done it. But we are where we are. And the risk is, if we don't cooperate with the government, that we will get something even worse. So I do support this proposal in front of us here today, because quite frankly, we've got no choice. But I would like to say I am aware about how difficult this is going to be, and I do feel sorry for some of the communities who are going to be challenged in a way around development that they have not had, and the strain that these new figures will put on the infrastructure of Breckland. And I think anybody like me who doesn't think that this is a good idea should direct their ire towards the government rather than the officers here at Breckland, who have been given no choice at all. So I will be supporting this paper, but I regret hugely that we've been put in this position by the government. Thank you.
Lovely, thanks, Bill. Councillor Hewitt.
Thank you, Chair. I'm struggling here. I will, like my colleague next to me, support this because we have no choice. But there again, we have a local plan, which has gone through an update, and now we need a new local plan. But this time a local plan that is set by central government in terms of timetable, and set by local government in terms of housing numbers. 50% more than we have previously agreed with our communities following lengthy consultation in the past in determining our last local plan. So as a result of this, we are now being mandated to consult again with our communities, and with respect, our communities are being mandated to consult with us, because if we do not consult, then numbers will be imposed on us from central government. I want to be absolutely clear, Sam, if I get this right, as to who sets the numbers, not us. Who sets the timetable, not us. But that timetable taking account of devolution, LGR, revision of our waste services, and business as usual going on at exactly the same time. Who hits us with the stick as we're trying to navigate through with our local communities who will be negatively impacted by this? Not us. And I find it shocking, and I just need to be absolutely clear. I find it shocking. The clarity, by the way, is for any newspaper looking at this with a view to perhaps spinning this to their own needs. The clarity is to how we need to manage and control this process under the circumstances presented by this paper. Anyone would think we were being set up to fail. But I do not believe that to be the case, because I believe actually our officers will, with the timetable that is presented in this document through the local development scheme, will, as they always do, go above and beyond and deliver. It is not perfect. It is anything other than perfect. But it is the timetable that we need to work with, and is a framework where we need to start. Thanks, Sam.
Lovely, thanks, Councillor Hewitt. I've got Councillor Clausen, then Councillor Kybird again, please.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. I couldn't agree more with what Paul's just said. And the one thing that I haven't seen anywhere is where the evidence is why the figures should suddenly have gone up from 6 to 900. And I don't think anybody else has seen that evidence. So it is just somebody pulled a number out of the air, imposed it on a rural area, and that's it. And we've now got to deliver because there is absolutely no choice in what we do. Furthermore, if I could just ask, only in last Friday, in one of the circulations that we get from local gov, it was saying on the 28th of February, local plans overhaul announced. So it was announced on the 28th, according to this. So does that mean that we are now in for yet another completely different set of rules that we've now got to abide by? It says here that there's now going to be all simplified and collided from into 2.5 years, from 7 years. Well, luckily, we're just about on target for that. But if this is where it's at, then do we know what's going on? Do they know what's going on? I'm just asking, Chairman.
Simon, any comments from a professional perspective?
Yeah, do I know what's going on? Good question. Members will recall that I think it was about 2.5 years ago, the then government published a white paper on the future of planning in relation to plan making, and they were looking to get that installed during 2024, and our original transition date was June of this year for the local plan to be completed and submitted. The current government have committed to carrying those reforms forward, but extended the transition period by 18 months to December 2026, which is why that date, as Councillor Kittle-Morris said, is so crucial for us. So this will be essentially a plan-making process that will be done, in theory, within 30 months. There will be various stages. There will be more involvement of the planning inspectorate during those stages to make sure that the plan is developed as it's supposed to be developed in terms with those timeframes. So yes, we know it's coming down the line. This is why we want to try and avoid it and not duplicate work that we will already have done.
Good, thank you. Councillor Kybird, then Councillor Webb, please.
Thanks, Sam. I believe under the old rules, over-delivery was allowed to be carried forward against future years, and that's no longer the case. Will under-delivery be taken forward and add to the future year numbers? That seems to be an uneven playing field, if that's the case.
So you're perfectly correct, Councillor. Over-delivery is not now included in our favour, whereas previously it was for a relatively short period, but it was. In terms of under-delivery, we always have to maintain that 5-year housing land supply. So even on an out-of-date local plan, which technically ours is now, we still have to try and maintain that housing supply. The figure of 903 makes that impossible to do. So we're in a position where we can't deliver that, and that, of course, is a disadvantage to us.
Does that respond to your question, Councillor Kybird? You still look like there's a supplementary.
I'm still not quite sure. Right, so if we only do 600 this year, do we have to do 1,200 next year to balance the books?
If we're not delivering against the target of 903 per year, it means that we technically wouldn't have that 5-year housing land supply, so we would be penalised with the decision-making process. In terms of consistently under-delivering on numbers, effectively, when we come to next review the local plan, we would have to increase that buffer. So at the moment, because we've been delivering in line with our target over the last few years, we only have to deliver a 5% buffer. If that doesn't happen, then that buffer will be wider and we will be added on to our requirement. So yes.
Fine, lovely, thanks, Simon. Councillor Webb, please.
Right, I'm appalled, absolutely appalled about what's happened here. I just feel that the government have actually dumped on us as a rural environment and made us go. I mean, I don't think any of our communities realise what this is going to mean. It's going to mean that we have to meet the targets. We don't have any choice. The increase from 625 to 903 houses across Breckland a year, not for the total life of the plan, a year means that all those areas where you've got lovely, lovely outstanding fields and that, you're going to see development in them because we've got to. We have no choice. Yes, I will be supporting the approval of the funding for it, and well done to the officers for what they do in meeting the requirements, because they always do, because they work so hard. But what you must realise is the impact of what we're going to have on our residents here. When it happens, I'm going to say, I told you so. Thank you.
Lovely, thanks, Councillor Webb. And just to reconfirm that these figures are not Breckland's figures. This is set centrally by government, and we have to respond to that and deliver that. And as the Director of Planning has said, unless we do, we'll be penalised as we move forward. So we've got to make sure we deliver a suitable plan which can be adopted, and that is a challenge for all of us, but more importantly, making sure we do that with our communities. But Councillor Plummer.
Thank you, Leader. These decisions are made in Westminster under a bubble. I've lived in my constituency all my life. I've known most of the people all my life. They voted me in for this. I have to face them now to tell them that we have no choice. And the first question they ask me is, why haven't we been asked to vote on this? And I say, well, somebody's voted this government in, so we have to abide by their rules. And it's a very hard job for myself and for Councillor Clausen. We're in a rural area with people who live there all their lives, and we are trying to put houses in places that they really don't want. It upsets me, and you can hear it in my voice, that we are having to do things which we have no chance of doing anything about, and we are forcing this onto rural villages which really shouldn't have to have done to them. You know, it's very emotional, and I've had very emotional moments at parish council meetings, and I feel very inept to not be able to do anything about it. I just want this to be so people realise that it's the people who vote us in who we're trying to protect and look after, and we're not doing this at all. I know it's not our fault, and I know we can't do it, but it is very upsetting, and I just wanted to put that point of view. I don't want to labour the point. I just want so people realise that we suffer as much as our rural people do. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thanks, Paul. Fully concur and agree. Any other questions or comments in relation to this item? If not, the recommendations are presented as per. All those in favour? Thank you. That is carried. So move on to item 5 then, which is the date of the next meeting. The date of the next meeting, which is the normal drumbeat for Cabinet, will be Monday the 24th of March at 9:30 here in the Anglia Room at Elizabeth House. And I now formally close the meeting. Thank you.